your dreams.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick Klee guide. By the way, if you're enjoying the content, just leave a like and subscribe. So Klee is a cute 5-star Pyro main DPS that typically relies on normal and charged attacks. She has high damage ceiling, she has high energy because her elemental skill has 2 charges. However, the downside of Klee is she is a lot slower than other Pyro main DPSs due to her attack animations just being very slow. She also needs a lot more investment compared to other characters, especially like Hu Tao. Also, Klee, like a spoiled little child, is going to be hogging the field most of the time. As I stated earlier, Klee's source of damage is basically her normal and charged attacks. With Klee's normal attacks, there is like some tricks that you can do to help Klee do like a little bit more damage. You basically click the normal attack and click W at a certain time in order to animation cancel. I used to master this back in the day when Klee first came out, but I don't really do this as much anymore because it's kind of boring. You don't have to animation cancel to use Klee, but if you do want to deal more damage, then you kind of have to do this. But it's not like it's the end of the world if you can't master the animation cancel, or if you don't even do it. I mean, you're still going to be, clearing floors regardless. So because she focuses on normal attacks, I would highly recommend that you level up her normal attacks, her skill, and then her burst in that particular order. Now, as for Klee's elemental skills, Jumpty Dumpty, this skill has 2 charges, and whenever you use it, the big Jumpty Dumpty will hop 3 times, and at the 3rd hop, it'll basically explode into landmines. Because this elemental skill has 2 charges, you do kind of want to use this sparingly because the cooldown of this skill once you use the 2 charges is 20 seconds. That's a long ass time, so try to use these sparingly. I also forgot to mention that her landmines can be sucked up by Sucrose, Jean, and Kazuha, so any of those 3 NMO characters are going to be great partners for Klee. Now, as for Klee's elemental burst, Sparks and Splash, this basically summons a mechanism that deals Pyro AoE damage to enemies. When you switch out Klee during this state, this will basically cancel Sparks and Splash, so you do have to be on the field while this burst is active. So the best way to play Klee is just to use your normal and charge attacks as often as you can. If you wish to use your animation cancel techniques, then go ahead. I also try to use my Jumpty Dumpties pretty sparingly. Whenever I do use her Jumpty Dumpties, I typically switch to Kazuha to suck them up and stuff. Since Klee's elemental burst only costs 60, it doesn't really take too much to get to her burst. I like to play Klee with a shielding character since Klee is going to be on the field most of the time. Having a shield character is going to be pretty handy. Also, since she is a lolly character, lollies are not as fast as the taller characters, so, dodging with her can be kind of a pain, so I just like to use a shield instead. Now, as for Klee's best artifacts, we got the 4-piece Crimson Witch, obviously. Since Klee can apply so much Pyro as a catalyst user, she's going to make the best use out of this set, and she's going to be causing so many reactions. Now, if you're too unlucky with farming the 4-piece, you can always try the 2-piece Crimson Witch and the 2-piece Gladiator, or 2-piece Shiminawa, of course. Or even just use the 2-piece Noblesse Oblige as well, since Klee is going to be on the field whenever she uses her burst. The 2-piece Noblesse Oblige with the 2-piece Crimson Witch can work pretty well with Klee. And of course, with the introduction of Dendro, if you want to play Klee in a Burgian team, you can always just farm the 2-piece Elemental Mastery sets, and obviously stack Elemental Mastery on Klee. Now, outside of Dendro, you're obviously going to be wanting a attack time piece, a Pyro damage goblet, and a crit rate or crit damage circlet. Klee does ascend with the Pyro Ascension stat, so if you don't want to run a Pyro goblet, you can always run an attack goblet instead. Now, as for Klee's best weapons, let's start with the 5-star weapon Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds. This weapon does have a crit rate substat, so it will make help building Klee a little bit more easier. Speed boost that you get from this weapon will also be beneficial to Klee since Klee is typically slow. And you also receive an elemental damage bonus with this weapon, something that Klee can benefit since basically what all Klee does is Pyro damage. Another 5-star weapon that you can use is the Skyward Atlas. It gives you elemental damage bonus, and that will definitely benefit Klee. It does have an attack as a substat though. Now as for 4-star weapons, there's really not that many good 4-star weapons for catalysts in my opinion. But obviously we got the Witsith. It does have the crit damage substat, so it'll help building you with crit rate, crit damage a little bit more easier. The buffs that you receive from the Witsith are all RNG based. However, Klee does benefit from all of the buffs that you can receive. You're either going to get an attack buff, a elemental damage buff, or a elemental mastery buff whenever you switch to Klee. Next weapon we got is the battle pass weapon, the Solar Pearl. Obviously with the crit rate substat, it's going to be a lot easier to build Klee. Passives on this is basically, your normal skill and elemental burst will deal more damage for 6 seconds. 6 seconds really isn't that much, but it's still something. You might have to be a little bit more precise with the rotations when you use the Solar Pearl. Now as for her best team members, we got Diona, who is a cryo shielder and she can also heal. Also, Diona at C6 can provide elemental mastery. Lila, another cryo shielder option that you can use. Rosaria is also another good option. She can provide cryo pretty consistently, so if you want to melt with Klee, then Rosaria is a pretty good option. Kaya is also a pretty good consistent cryo applicator as well. Animo characters, I mentioned them earlier. We got Sucrose, Jean, and Kazuha. All three of them are pretty great animo partners for Klee, mostly because they're able to suck up Klee's bombs. Sucrose provides elemental mastery, so if you want more elemental mastery for Klee, in order for her reaction to deal more damage, then Sucrose is a pretty good option. Jean is also good because she can cleanse and heal. Kazuha obviously being very great at what he does, buffing the elemental damage for your party members. And if you do happen to have him C2, he also boosts the elemental mastery of your party. Xingqiu is also another good option, since he's one of the best Hydro 4 stars in the game. Constant Hydro application in his elemental skill will also help with Klee, since it also provides damage to interruption resistance, so Klee won't get knocked back as easily. Other mentions like Zhongli and Bennett. Now as for Burgian team members, we obviously have Nahida, who is probably one of the best Dendro applicators in the game. Any other Dendro character will just work as well, since most Dendro characters tend to be pretty good. Also, the Dendro Resonance will also provide you with more elemental mastery. Now as for the other Hydro characters that you need in order to trigger the Burgian, we obviously have Xingqiu, Yelan, Kokomi. All three of those Hydro characters can apply Hydro pretty consistently. Now as for Klee's constellations, I think in my opinion it's just best to leave her at C0. Her constellations kind of suck. C1, basically your normal attacks and your skill has a chance to deal more damage. I don't know how often the chance is. C2, when an opponent gets hit by Jumpty Dumpty's mines, the opponent's defense decreased by 23% for 10 seconds. It's not too bad. If you really do want constellations on Klee, then I think C2 would be the better stopping point. I would not go higher than C2 in my honest opinion. At C4, whenever Klee leaves the field during her burst will deal massive AoE Pyro damage, so it does make Klee a little bit more off-fielder. At C6, Klee will regenerate party for your other party members whenever she uses her burst. Overall, for Klee, I mean, Klee kind of sucks in my opinion. If you're looking for a Pyro main DPS, I would probably suggest that you build Zhang Ling over Klee. I would only recommend you pull Klee if you really just like the character, or if you're one of those individuals that have interesting taste in 2D chicks, then yeah, go all out on Klee. So that's gonna be the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Any comments, concerns about Klee, let me know, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye bye now. Come again soon.